Hey guys, I'm outside trying to record this video. Just the beginning, just the opening by my bug because I wanted y'all to see my bug I painted. And this video is about my, not really my reselling journey. It's about tips and helpful things I think would come in handy for people who are maybe just starting reselling or even been at it for a while. I wanted to add in a little bit of my story, and that's why I wanted to show my bug because I got my bug like during my divorce in the middle of dealing with all that. It sucked, and there was a time when I was a teenager I just dreamt of having a bug. I always wanted a bug. I always thought it would be awesome, and it just never happened for me. um, when I was going through a divorce, after I went through the really bad times, I started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's when a lot of stuff started like turning around for me. I started taking chances I never would had before and being more brave and just going for it instead of being scared all the time. Because I have anxiety, so I always am like fearful of the dumbest stuff. It's part of it, let alone making big leaps. Just doing my bug was a big deal for me. During the pandemic, we, all got some money, and that's basically how I bought it. It's an older bug, like 2005. I commonly forget the year of it. It's sad, but no, it's not a vintage bug, an older bug. So it wasn't worth a ton. I didn't pay a ton of money for it. It was black when I bought it, and I knew I wanted to paint it. And a lot of people thought I was crazy, but I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I did. I took the whole summer off and on, painted it on my own. My dad helped just a little bit in the beginning. I'm going to share all this on a video someday, very soon. I'm going to do a video all about my bug and how I painted it and what I used and stuff, because I get a lot of questions about that. And yeah, it was just meant a lot to me to have my bug, and it's still a work in progress. These tires are not the same on the other side. I painted these ones, but the other side they're still regular, so I still have stuff to do on it. It's a work in progress, but it's really cool, and I just love it. Wanted to share it with you guys. So yeah, I am. But yeah, reselling was the same way for me as far as like kind of like when I first started thinking about doing it, I think other people might have thought I was crazy, and I was definitely hesitant as well. Didn't really know if it was a good idea. So yeah, we'll talk more about that inside though, because it's kind of chilly out here, and I'm right next to the sidewalk, so it's a little awkward. So we'll talk more later. Okay. Right back inside, and now we can talk. I got my coffee, comfortable. I got my blank. Yes, we're ready. And bear with because I'm trying to use my front facing camera, not the back camera, to record this because it's supposed to do a better job. And I had no idea, but it's really hard because I can't see myself. So I'm actually holding my phone right now because I'm trying to get used to it. It's kind of weird, so bear with. But anyhow, today's video, we're going to do a little about me because I feel like I haven't really talked much about myself, and it'd be nice to, but mostly this video is about successful reselling tips, and maybe it's more for beginners or people thinking of going full-time, but really it could be for anyone. So I hope y'all like it, and let's get into it. Let's go. So my first tip is if you want to make a full-time living, treat it like a full-time job. And that sounds kind of duh, but it's a real thing that some people have that misconception that reselling is a cake job or whatever. I don't know. It's not. It's hard. It takes a lot of work, and you have to be your own boss. Yeah, it's fun not having a boss. Let me tell you what, that's one of my favorite things about it, but you have to be your own boss, and you got to be strict with yourself at times if you want to be successful, for sure. So I was gonna kind of explain or share my story of how I got into reselling. Basically, I got fired from a job that I was at for a while, for quite a while. It was devastating to me, and it was just out of the blue, no warning. I went in, got fired that day. It was very unjust, and I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, it sucked, and I needed something. Like, I had already been in the works of kind of thinking about things I could do that would pay more. As it was, I wasn't getting paid enough at the job, and I fell into reselling when I started kind of selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace to make a little extra money. So I started doing that just a little bit. And I noticed it worked pretty well. Like, it helped me out a little bit, you know, a little extra money. I was having some issues with it, and a friend that I went to high school with, who I'm Facebook friends with, she gave me some shipping tips because I wasn't doing something right. And she's like, oh yeah, actually I do this as my job. She was a reseller. And I thought, I honestly did not know. I didn't know what a reseller was. I knew like people have antique vintage stores, people flip things, all that. But I guess I really didn't know that you could just like do this for a living. Anybody could. I didn't know a lot about it, I'll say. I knew very little about it. She told me, oh yeah, go on YouTube. There's a lot of people on there that talk about it, and you know, you can get ideas and how to go about it and stuff. So I started YouTubing and watching people and realizing how it was an attainable income, and I could definitely do it. Like, I just had in my head, like, I know I can do this, and that was it for me. Like, I was like dedicated. Don't get me wrong, when I first started, I made a lot of mistakes. It took a while before I really got to learn what does sell, what flips well. And I'm still learning. That's the cool thing too about reselling, is you are always learning every day. Every day you learn stuff, and that is so exciting. It's such an exciting thing to me, the whole adventure of it. I just started doing it. I just leapt right in, and the more I did it, the better I got. And I will say also though, the first, like, it took me a couple weeks, I think, before I even made a sale on eBay. Like, my parents were the first ones to buy something from me from my store when I first started out. It was so cute, and I shipped it to them. I think it was a little Campbell's soup mug or something. I don't know, something a little like that. And yeah, so I knew though, even though I wasn't making sales at the beginning, I knew to stick with it because it would eventually happen. And I didn't give up. It was frustrating. I kept thinking, oh my gosh, really? What am I doing wrong? I fret for a little bit, but I was scared for a little bit, but it happened. I finally started making sales, and the rest is history, as I say. So anyhow, the first tip, again, is if you want to make a full-time living, treat it like a full-time job, and that's for real. Okay. I keep looking down because I wrote notes, just so you know. But anyhow, the second thing is to give it time. And this is like, when I first started, I thought, oh no, what do I got to do? Do I got to niche down? Like, a lot of YouTubers talk about niching down. And how important that is, and it can be very, very successful. And what that means is just picking like one kind of product to sell and just doing that, nothing else. That can have a lot of pluses, so I'm not knocking that at all. But when you're just starting out, a lot of times you don't know what to niche down in, if you were even going to do that, because you don't have to. Everybody lives in a different area, has different items available for them. So that is super important. Like, you got to be able to get the stuff you want to sell. And sourcing It can be hard. You got to feel that out. You got to know what's in your area, what thrift stores, what you can find at estate sales, um, auctions. There's all kinds of stuff. But believe it or not, not every area has an abundance of everything. So you really want to feel that out. Like when I started, there was a few different things I enjoyed selling at first. And I thought, oh, I think I want to focus more on this. I knew I liked vintage stuff. It's just like vintage, whatever. I just like vintage things. I always have. So I knew I wanted to veer towards vintage things. So I just found all kinds of cool vintage toys at first, like little old toys that maybe reminded me of my youth. That's always fun. And I used to sell a lot more toys than I do now. And I still do some toys, but I used to find them more, and then I stopped being able to find as many for some reason or another. I don't really know. It's weird. But then I started noticing, oh, costume jewelry is like a thing. Like vintage costume jewelry is like a real thing. And that's interesting. I would have never thought in a million years I'd be into selling jewelry. It was just not my thing. I didn't know a lot about it. And I never thought I'd be able to like source it and get enough of it or whatever. But oddly enough, that is one of my main things I really like to sell now. Usually I'm able to get vintage jewelry or source it from local thrift shops and sales and whatnot, and it's really easy to ship and it's small and it's interesting, and there's all kinds of stuff to learn about it, and I'm always learning and watching YouTube videos. And yeah, so I would have never thought, though. If you would have asked me that at the beginning, I would have been like, no way. It's just not my thing, but it has become my thing. So feel it out. Don't jump into one thing unless you know that's like really your thing and you can get it, and it's just what you want to do. Then that's cool. But yeah, if you're not really sure what to sell, start out just selling whatever you can find, and you will learn along the way what you can get more of, the most of, and what you can get for a decent price to flip. That just happens naturally. So yeah, that is definitely my second main tip, is just to feel things out, take your time. It'll evolve naturally like everything does, and you'll find what you really like. And there's nothing wrong with not niching down. A lot of people like selling a variety of things. I do. I kind of focus on what I like. I like to get more of what I like if possible, but here and there I'll throw other things in there. If I find a deal on something, I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna sell it, even if it's not something I totally dig to sell. But if it's gonna sell for a good profit, it's gonna sell for a good profit, so whatever. But yeah, that's the second tip. Give it time, feel it out, and you will find what you like, and it'll happen. It'll evolve. Post every day. Okay, I know this works. I will just say posting every day is really important, because I have gone through different stages. And when I first started out, I definitely didn't post every day. And then I realized when I didn't post every day, I could just tell that I wasn't getting as many sales. Coffee break. I'm drinking a Jamaican Me Crazy coffee, and it's delicious. I hope you're drinking something delicious too. Okay. So anyhow, we were on what were we talking about? Oh yeah, post every day. That's the thing. So when I finally figured out I should be posting every day, I'm like, okay, I made it a goal for myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to post 10 things a day. That's my thing. I'm going to make that a goal. And I quickly realized that was just not going to happen. It was too stressful. I just didn't. 10 things for me was just way too many. So then I dialed it back. I now post at least 5 things a day, at least. Now, most of the times I'll do 5 things, but if I have a day where I have a couple extra things I want to post, I'll do it, you know, just so I have 5 at the least. And that has worked for me pretty good. So, yeah, what you can do is make drafts of your items and then save them onto your eBay or whatever and have them ready, and just, you know, instead of posting a bunch at a time, split them up and post at least 5 a day. So that's gonna get me into our next, actually, little subject I wrote down here, is make a schedule and stick to it like a well-oiled machine. I don't know, I wrote that down, but yeah, it's a lot easier once you have a schedule. And this is hard for me because I have kids and things change a lot and things happen. My youngest boy just had tonsil surgery. He got his tonsils removed. I forgot the actual name of that surgery, but you know what I'm talking about. There's always things coming up that throw a wrench in the mix, but the important thing is you have somewhat of an outline that you know you got to do each day, each week, to, you know, keep the ball rolling rather smoothly. Maybe you have like a 2, 3, however many days a week you go sourcing, and then you have a day or two that you take pictures. Then you have another day that you list, or 2 out of the day, you know, or maybe you want to do thrifting in the morning and then listing at night each day. You know, everyone has something that works for them depending on their lifestyle and what they got going on at home. So having more of a schedule just makes everything easier. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. I still struggle with this because every time I think I'm like on the ball and doing good, something happens and I get knocked off the ball and I gotta start all over again. And the clutter is real. You could probably see some of it in the back here. Like, I'm always donating stuff. I'm always trying to get rid of stuff. They call back stock in the, you know, reselling biz the death pile, or some people call it the money pile. There's different names for it, but it always happens. You're always going to have stuff that's sitting around that you need to list. I think it's good to have some because that's like your inventory, you know, it's like your back stock. You need to have some laying around because, like, around Christmas time, I then realized how hard it was for me to source around that time because everything was closed and I had like a week span where it was just really hard for me to source. There wasn't like estate sales or anything going on, and I really depended on my back stock. So it can come in handy, but it can also get really out of control. So you want to try, I mean, at least I'd say every month, kind of try to go through some stuff. And if there really is a lot of junk in your back stock that you know you're probably never going to even want to sell, just donate it, redonate it. That's what I do. And it's every time I get a bag or a box together anymore to redonate, it's like, yes, I'm getting rid of some stuff. And you can't think, oh, I spent money on that. No, it happens. You're going to have stuff you're not going to be able to resell. It's a natural thing when you do this. Not everything is good. Things are broken or stained or just not even worth your time to resell sometimes. And we want to do that as least as possible, you know, of course, but it's still going to happen. So yeah, try to keep it under wraps as much as you can. So yeah, that was that. I forget what number I'm on. I don't think I'm doing numbers anymore, but it's just to make a schedule and stick to it as much as you can. Right. My next tip is get pissed, then move on. And that's what I have wrote here. I said, you're going to pick up broken stuff. You're going to get returns. And you're going to have slow days or weeks. It just happens. So the ebb and flow is real. It's a thing. And we all go through it. And I used to really get hung up more on stuff like this. And I learned to let stuff go. You just do, because it does not help anything to really fester or like brew on stuff, you know, like, oh gosh, I wish this was like this, and and complain. And you can't have that mindset. I mean, you can, but why? Just roll with the punches, as they say. Don't dwell on things. Know this happens, and it's inevitable. There's nothing you can do to escape um, the ebbs and flows. There's absolutely nothing. That's the way of nature, and it's going to happen, and things will go on and get better as they do, and not to stress over it. So that's my next tip. Just don't stress. Just deal with it. Get pissed if you want to get pissed, and then move on. My next tip is to tell your family and friends and every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the block that you're a reseller. No, no, but be open about what you do. Be proud of what you do. It's hard work, and don't hide it. I don't know why you would, but networking is such a valuable tool and will help you so much. You can get a lot of opportunities when people know what you do and want to help you out. The more people know, the more donations you'll get. I always tell my family and friends, if you get rid of things, please just drop them off and let me look through them, and then I'll take them down to the thrift store. I get stuff here and there. People just, give me things because they know what I do. They want to help out. It's usually stuff they don't want, but it don't matter, because just because somebody doesn't want it doesn't mean it's not valuable, as we all know as resellers. So yeah, the more you tell people what you do, the more help you get. I always, I never pay for boxes, and most people I wouldn't think really do, but I mean, you can also get boxes down at the dollar store and such is the place I get them most, but I also get boxes from family and friends, and I'm always thankful for that. It just helps out so much. Yeah, let people know what you do. When you start reselling more, you get connections and you meet friends who do the same thing, or just acquaintances. Don't really matter, because once you know a few people and you help each other out, that's always cool. Not everyone's cool. Some people are a little more greedy than others, but you just stay away from those ones. Stay away from the greedy people. That's a good tip too, actually, because there are some out there. I try to be very cool, and it's important to me to be more giving. I would never fight people for an item, or get, I am very laid back when it comes to stuff, and I care more for people than I do about getting an item. And you see some of that reselling, people just wanting to be the first in the door to grab the thing they want, and that's fine, that is a thing, but always keep other humans in mind and people in mind, because they're more important than any item you could get. That was pretty much it. Just keep networking and meeting new people and telling people what you do, and that definitely comes back to you. It definitely helps out a lot, and the more or the longer you resell, the more connections you get, and that naturally happens. So don't be too shy about it, and just have fun and let people know. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got to say about that. All right, the last tip I have is kind of funny. I don't know why I keep laughing at my tips. They're good tips, okay? But anyhow, watch YouTube, I wrote down. Yeah, okay. It's true. Watching YouTube was one of the big things that got me into it, into reselling. I didn't know, like I mentioned, a lot about it, and I was curious. And once I started watching YouTubers and seeing what they did and all the tips there are out there, oh my gosh, it's like crazy, and it's so cool. It's just, I'm very grateful for YouTube. And that's why a big part of the reason I wanted to start my YouTube is I thought, well, I could meet people or encourage people, or it's YouTubing can be kind of, YouTubing, reselling can be kind of lonely. So I thought, well, maybe I can meet some friends doing that or whatever. And that's why I started doing it too. I know there's so many informative YouTubers out there that have helped me, but just be careful. There are some that aren't as great. Just be cautious of all the tips you get and stuff. They're not all spot on, you know. There's bad information out there too. But most of the peeps out there do want to help and are helpful and, you know, share a lot of information. So watch YouTube, and you're already doing that. Where am I supposed to? You're already doing that. So way to go. You're watching YouTube. So you're on the right track. All right, guys, I am done with all my tips. I hope y'all enjoyed and maybe learned something, or maybe just enjoyed watching. Whatever dills your pickle, okay? Whatever floats your boat. Whatever. Just hope y'all enjoyed the video. And I will be back shortly with a new one. So stay tuned. And y'all have a good one, and happy hunting out there. Toodaloo.